Have you ever played the glad game? Because it's life-changing. At last, Nancy told her all about the story of how the crutches arrived instead of a doll, and how Pollyanna's father had taught her that there was always something to be glad about. Miss Polly couldn't believe it. How can someone ever be glad of crutches? She demanded to know. Simple, said Nancy. In Pollyanna's case, she could be glad she didn't need them. The glad game. If you read the book Pollyanna, you'd know. In simple terms, it's a game where you find something to be glad about, no matter how unfortunate the scenario is. And that's something I've been practicing every single day, and I can truly say how life-changing it is, because it does really change your thinking pattern. It does change your well-being and how you feel on a cellular level. For instance, I don't know, the most obvious example I can give is I go on my daily walks every day, and obviously they're way more pleasant when the weather is nice and sunny and warm, but as it is in Warsaw recently, for the past week, it has been raining and it's been freezing cold like in winter, although it is spring. You can imagine the walks not being as great in comparison if the weather was pleasant. However, I realized walking yesterday, and I had to feel it first before I could say it, because I feel like gratitude is something that you feel mostly, and it's either there or it's not. So you can't really force it. So I was walking and I felt, and then I said to myself, wow, I'm so grateful it's not raining. It may be cold, it may be gray, but it's not raining, and I can walk without an umbrella. Because if you know me, you'd know that I really, really do not like rain. And at that moment, I kind of found that thing to be grateful for. I paid attention to the positive of what was a given. And in little things like that, I was just sitting and reading, and I saw my sister playing, and like, wow, I'm so grateful that I have someone to make a mess, you know? I don't know if but for me it felt like I was so grateful there was someone that can play with toys and leave a mess. I mean, isn't that beautiful? That's what a child is. And also in that moment, I felt an immense feeling of gratitude. Then I had my mom sitting next to me, and I looked at her, and I just felt how grateful I was at that moment to have her sitting just by me. I must be one of the happiest people in the world to have their mom sitting right by them. And just that. Sometimes we're so blind to things. We're forgetful people. Most of the time what we see, we do not see the obvious. And the obvious is most of the time things that we are used to and we take for granted. And kind of playing that glad game that comes from the book helps you wake up. And it's actually a book I wanted to share with you. It's called Pollyanna. It's one of my most favorite books. I recommend to everyone. I'd say it's quite a childish book. Maybe it's even a children's book, but has so much depth into it, so much mindfulness, and I feel like it's a must read for everyone. It's a classic. It's a classic for me, for sure. It wakes you up. Something I do is when I'm on my walk, I just list or say out loud the things I'm grateful for in the moment. Not the big things like having a roof over my head. Those are kind of self-explanatory. I'm saying in the moment, what am I feeling grateful for? And today that was the fact that it wasn't raining, and the fact that my favorite coffee shop was open, and I was gonna get myself a coffee, and I got myself my favorite coffee, and after taking the first sip, I felt such a sense of gratitude. Like, I can't even explain it, but to me it felt like a heavenly sip of coffee. Just the purest form of pleasure. And it's something I value and I cherish, and it's beautiful. And there's so many, and those little things, when you pay attention to them, when you actually live them, life becomes so much juicier, so much more vibrant and colorful. And those are the things that instruments and tools we have at our fingertips. And something we just need to practice more. Because we are forgetful people. We're all dory. That's okay. We just need to keep reminding ourselves. That's why I think people with meditation is a practice. It's something you do day in and day out, because you can't just do it once and forget about it. It's something we need to discipline ourselves to do, because we get so caught up in life, because we get so caught up in those day-to-day things. Take a step back and observe. Just look around and just remind yourself where you are, who you are, and what the purpose of all of this is. Happiness. Because the purpose of life is happiness. So I hope this video reminds you just to be more aware, play the glad game, find things to be glad about, find things to be grateful for, and your life will already start feeling different. You will start feeling happier, because at the end of the day, happiness is a choice. And I'll see you in the next one.